crack-a-lackin'. Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show. The best place for everything fantasy football. Every episode gets you one step closer to the goal of winning your fantasy football championship. From rankings, breakouts, sleepers, best ball drafts, DFS plays. If winning is your objective, this is the place to be. Let's piece the puzzle together and get you that trophy. Here's your host, Sleazeball, right here on My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
Welcome in, everybody, to episode 10. This episode is going to be how to win your fantasy football draft from the 1.01 spot. I've had a lot of questions about it through Twitter, YouTube, everything. I'm also drafting at the one in a couple drafts, so I wanted to dive into some research for you guys right here. And I promise you 100%, this is how you're going to win your fantasy football championship. Let's dive into it. First thing I want to talk about here before we dive into it is this is based on 12-man leagues. So you're starting at the one spot. I'm going to do ADP based off of Fantasy Pros, based off of every spot from the one based on a 12-man league. If you play in a 10-man league, honestly, step it up to a 10-man league. You could auto-draft and make the playoffs. There's not a lot of skill involved. Now let's start here. Number one is Christian McCaffrey. Do not overthink it. This man was RB1 last year with 272 touches. 1,459 yards and 14 touchdowns on the ground. Not only that, 67 receptions, 564 yards in the air to total 21 TDs, a 2,000-plus yard season. Now you're going to hear, oh my God, Shanahan and the 49ers are going to scale his workload back. What's the number one thing the 49ers need to accomplish this season with how strong the top teams in the NFC are? Oh, that would be the number one seed. They don't want to go at Philly. They don't want to go at Detroit. They definitely don't want to go to Lambeau and Green Bay where it's cold. That's for damn sure. Now, if you take every metric, like you pull up Player Profiler right now and look at every single NFL metric there is for a running back for Christian McCaffrey, he is top 10 in every single category. It is unfreaking believable. I know you're going to think, oh, Bijan, easy schedule. Me too. I have a number one pick in a couple leagues. I'm debating it. I'm over debating it. It is CMC, the king of fantasy, and he's going to repeat and do it again. Do not overthink it at all. He averaged 24.5 points per game and 0.5 PPR last season. That is unbelievable. I'm taking him every chance I get at the one. Every single thing, best ball, redraft, all of it. Now, as you're heading around your turn to round 2, round 3, where you get back-to-back picks, most analysts, content creators are going to tell you wide receiver heavy. I am not that dude. I like to stand on the 3 running backs early and give me the studs that I know they're going to be pure workhorse backs. So at my 24th pick, I'm definitely snagging Derrick Henry, who is currently going off the board right at the spot of 24. RB8 last year, still had 280 touches at age 29. Still had 1,067 yards at age 29. 12 touchdowns at age 29. Now he's 30. He's on the Baltimore Ravens. Now you get the RPO of him and Lamar Jackson, which is going to be an absolute nightmare to stop. He is going to see 15-plus touchdowns this year at age 30. I don't care. I don't want to hear about the age. This man is built different. He is a brick shithouse. He's so big. He's going to truck people still. It doesn't matter. And say they get Mark Andrews back and he plays healthy the whole time. That's only going to help him. I'm not super high on Zay Flowers being an alpha 1. He's more kind of like a Z-back or scat around as a wide receiver. But Derrick Henry is going to absolutely destroy people this year, and his value is way too low. So I'm hoping it stays around this range because I can honestly see it going up by a lot by the time the season gets here and everything. And God, I'm so high on Derrick Henry. I don't care how old he is. Smash this pick. Coming up at pick 25, right after you grab Derrick Henry to secure your top 2 stud running backs. Oh, don't worry. We're going to do it again. We're going to fill our flex with another running back. Josh Jacobs going off the board currently right at the ADP of 25. Insane value pick here. He was RB28 overall last year. Was down in attempts, down in yards. Everybody thinks, oh my God, Josh Jacobs is falling apart. Dude, what you have to look at is the Raiders faced the number 1 most stacked boxes in the NFL last season. This man had nowhere to go. All they would do would be double up Devontae and put 8, 7, 6 in the box. He'd just be screwed every single time he had the ball. If you look at the season he had before when he didn't face stack boxes, he had 1,653 yards and 12 touchdowns. These numbers you cannot get away from. Now you're at the Green Bay Packers. You have Jordan Love secured a massive contract, solid O-line, and 4 wide receivers that are all electric. Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Dontavian Wicks, who I love. They're not going to be able to stack the box anymore. This man is going to full feast, and the Packers are going to score at will. And you're going to hear this Marshawn Lloyd from USC. You know what Marshawn Lloyd struggled with the most is fumbling. As soon as we get into camp here, as soon as we get into preseason games, we'll see how it goes. I'm very, very worried about the Marshawn Lloyd handling of the football. And Josh Jacobs, what does he not do? He doesn't fumble. This is an absolute smash value pick, and I love to start with the 3 running backs to control the rest of the league. And I'm going to get to the wide receiver value next on these picks that you'll see how to build a monster team here. Now that I've secured my 3 running backs with CMC, Henry, and Jacobs, it is time to focus on the wide receivers at value here. So now that you're at pick 48 right now, it's not that much of a reach when his current ADP is 54 for Amari Cooper, which is an absolute smash still to me that he is this far down in value. Finishing last season as wide receiver 20, 72 receptions, 1,250 yards, 5 touchdowns. Now, you have to remember that Joe Flacco took over and led this team to a playoff game. And when Joe Flacco was in, he targeted Njoku about 9 times average a game. And now what does Deshaun Watson not do as a quarterback through his career? Statistically, he has averaged 4.2 targets to his tight end in his career. This is going to be the Amari Cooper season. It's just got his contract extended. He is ready to rock and roll. Another plus you have while drafting him, number 1 defense, top 5 offensive line. It is all going to come down to Deshaun Watson if he cares to play football enough. But if Deshaun Watson comes back and is even anything close to he was as a Texan, you're looking at a massive league winner in both of these players. And you have to think about even Deshaun Watson last season as a quarterback, he still averaged 18 points a game in the 2 games he played, which would rank him in the top 13 to 15 quarterback. So I am all in on Deshaun Watson and Amari Cooper this season. I've talked about Deshaun Watson in a couple other videos. So now you have your 3 running backs, you have your wide receiver 1 and Amari Cooper with your 4th pick. Let's move on to the 5th. And with the 5th pick, you're going to select my favorite wide receiver to target in redraft, best ball, even trade for in Dynasty. I absolutely love drafting George Pickens at ADP 55. So this is your 49th pick right here. So you're reaching against 6 spots. Not really that much of a reach. Finished last season as wide receiver 30, 63 receptions. Still had 1,140 yards. And remember who his quarterback was last year? No one does. It was terrible quarterback play. Kenny Pickett went down. Everything fell to shambles, and this man still put up 1,000 yards. Now you have Deontay Johnson out of town with his vacated targets. He used to average 150 till last season as well because bad quarterback play. This man is going to absolutely feast. And you have to look at their draft as well. Their draft this season was probably the best in the NFL, probably an A-plus draft, boosted the offensive line. Going to help Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. I would love to see Justin Fields. Remember what Justin Fields did with DJ Moore last season? Imagine that with George Pickens. But Russell Wilson also targets the 1 a lot as well. I mean, Cortland Sutton had 10 touchdowns last year. So, I mean, there's a lot to love, even either quarterback that plays. But Arthur Smith being here, I don't think it's going to be as much Arthur Smith as people think last year with the Falcons. Mike Tomlin is an OG coach. He's going to control more of it than you think. And George Pickens at this value with the other wide receivers going ahead of him is absolutely crazy to me because this man is about to explode onto the scene this season. I promise you. And this is a smash value. Now I have my 2 wide receivers to go along with my 3 running backs. Let's head over to pick 6. With the 6th pick, you are now going to take Chris Godwin to add a little wide receiver depth to your roster. So now you have Amari Cooper. Now you have George Pickens, and now you have Chris Godwin. So you got a little depth in case of injury. You also got your 3 running backs, so you have depth there as well. This is how I like to build my rosters. Now, Chris Godwin last season, currently going off the board, ADP 72, right at your 72 pick. No reaching needed. He was wide receiver 29 last year, 83 receptions, 1,024 yards, 2 touchdowns. Was coming off major injury. So you got to factor that in, and he still popped 1,000 yards. Why were they so good? Here's the thing that kind of worries me about it is Dave Canales is gone, and he is the whisperer that has saved Geno Smith's career, got Baker Mayfield re-signed, saved his career. He's now out of town over in Carolina. But don't worry, they bring in Liam Cohen from Kentucky, who broke almost every record at Kentucky last season with a fast-paced offense, 29.1 points per game, 50 touchdowns, 8 yards per touch. Like everything he had, he has a history with Baker Mayfield as well as the Rams offensive coordinator Sean McVay in 2022 when Baker was acquired off the waivers. So there's a lot to love here, a lot to be nervous about because you do have a new OC, new program. You got to learn the playbook, learn everything that's going on. That's there, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. And my favorite thing is that Chris Godwin is now in the slot where he absolutely thrives. And I'm telling you right now, Chris Godwin is going to see more targets than Mike Evans in 2024. I just know it. Fully healthy, this man is going to explode. And one of my favorite picks right here to target. So now we have our 3 running backs and our 3 wide receivers. This next pick, you're going to love. With the 7th pick, you are going to take Jake Ferguson, and this is my favorite pick besides Evan Ingram at tight end, which Evan Ingram's ADP falls before, so you're not there, right? But you're at pick 73 right now, so you're going to reach up 13 spots right here, but don't worry about it because Jake Ferguson is going to return that value 100%. Last season, he finished as tight end 8, 71 receptions, 761 yards, 5 touchdowns. That was his first time being the starter, guys. He's already said he hasn't even scratched the surface of his talent yet. And the Cowboys, their running back room is probably worse than some college teams. Their offensive line, they lose 2 stars. This is going to be a full pass air attack from the Dallas Cowboys. He saw over 100 targets last season. I could see him seeing 150 this season. He may even crush 1,000 yards as a tight end. Now, the plus thing you have to put in right here with Jake Ferguson is he led all tight ends in red zone targets with 24. Not only that, he was 4th in the NFL overall at red zone targets. Still only getting 5 touchdowns. I expect this number to jump up to double digits this season. He is fully dialed into the program, playbook, everything. I cannot stress enough how much of league-winning value this guy is in the NFL today. And he's even becoming a little Kittle. He even had 425 yak yards, number 6 in the NFL. This guy is so good. I cannot believe he's being drafted this low. This is a smash pick right here. So now I have my 3 running backs. I have my 3 wide receivers. I have my locked-in tight end. Let's move on to pick 8. And with your 8th pick, none other than Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy, currently going off the board at ADP 97, right at your 96th pick. He was QB 6 overall last year. 308 completions, 4,280 yards, and 31 touchdowns. And guys, he was coming off a torn UCL, came back early off the injury, and still balled out and put up these numbers. And people still think this guy's a game manager. It drives me nuts. Now, we don't know the Brandon Ayuk situation, but we really know the Brandon Ayuk situation. He's going to end up in the 49ers. No trade's going to happen. No $30 million. None of that's going to happen. He will be at the 49ers, possibly tagged, or maybe we get a contract worked out. I'm a Niner fan, so I would say about $28.5 million. Now, for Brock Purdy, these are numbers that you just can't ignore, and I can't believe that it's called game manager. I don't care what it is. All the weapons around him. Either way, he still thrives. Yards per attempt, number 1. Adjusted yards per attempt, number 1. Fantasy points per dropback, number 3. Pressured throws, number 10 overall. Money throws, number 13 overall. Passing yards, number 5. Passing TDs, number 3. Fantasy points per game, number 6. Play action completion percentage, number 1. Pressure completion percentage, number 4. Deep ball completion percentage, number 1. Deep ball attempts, number 1. Accuracy rating on deep ball, number 1. I mean, what else do you need to know about this? There's still even more number 1s, but I'm not even going to go over it. He's just like a CMC product when you look at the stats. He has probably 5 or 6 of the total QB situation of stats that he's outside the top 10, which is absolutely crazy when they're running it back with all the same weapons. Debo, Ayuk, Kittle. They add Ricky Pearsall, the electric wide receiver from Florida, to go along with the man CMC himself. And oh yeah, we're building a little stack here. So not only that, you got to look at Christian McCaffrey's 564 passing yards and 7 touchdowns. Add that to Purdy, get a little double touchdown stack. I love this pick right here. I cannot believe he's going off the board this late after his production last year of being hurt. Absolute league winning value right here. Now, I have my stack with CMC and Purdy. I got my 3 running backs. I got my 3 wide receivers. I got my tight end. Now we're going to get to a little depth bench pieces here. And I love this next pick coming up. Before we dive into my number 10 pick, guys, to help you win your fantasy football championship, make sure you smash that like and subscribe. All the support's appreciated as I try to bring you the best content, try to help you out with everything in your leagues. You can drop any questions in there you want. I try to answer them all as fast as I can. Now let's get into the crazy pick at number 10 here that I love a ton. With your 10th pick to add depth to your wide receiver roster, you are going to be getting the Bills' wide receiver one scorer this season. Yes, I'm calling it now. Curtis Samuel is going to outscore Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, 100%. Let me tell you why. So last season for the Commanders, he had wide receiver 42, 62 receptions, 613 yards, 4 touchdowns, right? He's always that spike week guy last year because he's playing with Dotson, McLaurin, and Sam Howell leading the NFL in sacks, was running for his life. Couldn't really get anything there. He is one of the best pure route runners. If you ever look at reception perception, shout out to Mount Harmon and them. They do great work. Just type in Curtis Samuel, reception perception, and look at every single year and look at his chart of green everything. This guy cannot be covered anywhere on the football field, no matter what the route is. His route tree is absolutely phenomenal. Now, he is now back in Buffalo, right? Gets Josh Allen. Major quarterback upgrade. But the main point that's missing here is being back with Joe Brady. His best year he ever had in 2020 was with Carolina, and he only played 15 games this season. So he didn't play a full season. Still had 851 yards, 100 targets, 3 touchdowns. He's not really a touchdown guy because he's so tiny. But he knows how to use him. This is why they went and got him. This is why they let, well, I don't know if this is why they let Diggs go. Diggs is kind of a diva drama queen himself. Gabe Davis out of town. This is going to be the Curtis Samuel show. I've even made a couple bets with other content creators and stuff like that Curtis Samuel is going to be number 1. I am so locked in on this. This is an absolute smash value steal and a flexible player weekly. It is very hard to find a flexible player weekly in round 10 of your drafts. Let's be honest here, right? So this is the number 1 I lock player that I'm targeting every single draft in round 10, no matter what. Sleazeball approved. Now that is it for my lineups, guys. I'm going to come back to it here. We started off with CMC. We picked up Derrick Henry. We picked up Josh Jacobs. I go 3 running backs. I like to bully ball the running back room. I like to own that in drafts because it starts to panic for everyone else to start taking running backs. Then the wide receiver value can drop to you well. So I take the 3 running backs first. Then I target Amari Cooper, George Pickens, Chris Godwin. Now I have my 3 wide receivers set, locked in. I reach up a lot for Jake Ferguson because I'm very, very high on Jake Ferguson. Then I snag Brock Purdy, get a little stack with CMC. I get Trey Benson, my favorite handcuff. And I get Curtis Samuel, a wide receiver 1 in round 10. And this is how you're going to win your fantasy football championships from the 101 spot this season. That's it for episode 10, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any comments, questions, anything, drop them in there. We are on Apple and Spotify, and we're also live on YouTube all the time. So if you have any comments, questions, anything, I'll answer them all. Trying to help you guys get the best content or bring you the best content I can for fantasy football to help you guys win. And that is it for me, guys. I'm out. Everyone have a good one. I'll catch you in the next episode.